Hello, everyone, and welcome to the April 24th meeting of the Women in Product Toastmasters Club. I'm Amy Kirkland, your Sergeant at Arms, and today our theme is accepting compliments, something I am exceptionally bad at, and I'm hoping to learn something really great from people today about how to accept compliments better. So I'm very excited for this meeting today. And now I would like to introduce our president, Erica Tamburo.
Thank you, Amy. I am equally as excited about the topic because I as well have problems accepting compliments. That's an important thing to be able to do as we're empowering every woman's voice at the table, sharing those experiences. So a little bit of club business before we get started. The Women in Product Conference is May 10th through 11th. Get your registrations in. There's a club discount code that Women in Product has very graciously extended to us that you can use to sign up. We will be having a networking event Wednesday morning. That's the 11th. Let me know if you'll be around and can join us. And also look for Ansu's speech, which I'm not sure when that's happening yet, but we'll let you know when we know. Mentoring program, I'm going to send out the matches very soon. So I know you're eagerly awaiting that. May 8th club is canceled. Have a good Mother's Day. And May 22nd club meeting. We will be having many guests from the Women in Product Conference once we meet them at the conference. So please expect to have some company and welcome some guests. June 5th is election day. So today we'll talk about all the roles and what they entail and why they're great. If you would like to volunteer to run for a role, please let me know. I'll get you on the list. But the elections will be June 5th. And we're going to have some Q&A during today's meeting because there's time for that. And then there'll be time after the meeting as well. And yes, for new members, you can use the discount code. I said that backwards. All right. I did have something a little bit prepared to kind of go in with club business and introduce today. I hope, Marguerite, it's okay if I take like an extra minute just to talk a little bit about leadership in the context of Toastmasters. I guess it's not within the context, but more like the time is now. Actually, I'm going to save it for when I'm supposed to talk. So I'll stick with the agenda and be a good leader. Let's see. I don't see any guests in the, we do not have, do we have any guests today? Let me see. I think we have new members though. We do have new members. So I'm going to take an opportunity to introduce our new members. Gathika, would you like to say hello again? I know we've been to a couple meetings, but I would want to formally welcome you and give you a chance to say hi to everybody.
Hi, I'm Geetika. I'm a software engineer at PayPal. This is my third time editing the meeting. So excited to be a member and give my icebreaker speech soon.
Welcome, welcome. And we also have Saritha.
Hey everyone, I'm Saritha Surapaneni and I'm a product manager. And this is my first meeting. I joined in maybe like a couple of days ago. How do I say your name? Is it Swela Anna? Okay. Yeah, thank you for, onboarding me. I'm looking forward to meeting you all and, improvise my speaking and connecting with you all.
It's great to have you. We look forward to getting to know you better. Today's meeting is going to be a little different. We don't have any prepared speeches. We usually have 3 prepared speeches. But we're going to talk about leadership today. And Lori's going to have a really great impromptu section. So you'll really enjoy today. And I think that is everybody. I am going to introduce Marguerite, our Toastmaster of the day. Marguerite is a senior PM in Nike's new business incubator. And I was poking around on Marguerite's LinkedIn, as we do. And Marguerite has lots of volunteering opportunity experience, which I'm going to point out now and hope that someday she'll share what all of these great organizations that she's a part of have been a part of. So she's been a volunteer with Visible Hands, which is an economic empowerment organization, Gilda's Club of New York City, she's been a tech scholars mentor with children, and the VP is currently the VP of Community Management for Black Product Managers Network and Economic Empowerment Organization. Marguerite, that is much amazing work, and now you're here with us at Toastmasters, and that is really super exciting. So without further ado, Marguerite.
Thank you, Erica, for that amazing introduction. I appreciate it. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, it is my privilege to welcome you today and introduce our theme of the day, accepting compliments. As Amy and Erica have mentioned, I expect this theme came up because accepting compliments is difficult. And many of us, especially as women, have been taught to be humble to a fault. So it really feels so proudly accepting a compliment can feel kind of gross. I personally have had to train myself to, take compliments at face value and say thank you instead of saying, oh, no, that's, and waving them off. And then I actually try to take time and think about how those compliments are true and how I can take advantage of them to be more effective in communicating and building relationships and at my job. I'm excited to hear how others in the group how they process compliments as well. And also, as mentioned, today's meeting will have a unique structure. And you can find a link to the agenda in the Zoom chat. Instead, in place of our prepared speeches, our club officers will each tell us about their roles in the club. And then we'll get back to sort of the normal structure with the table topics round led by Lori Edwards, where we can practice impromptu speaking. And finally, we'll have the evaluation round in which the general evaluator and her team will provide the rest of us with feedback. Today, our general evaluator will be Ashley Lawson. Ashley, can you introduce your role and your team?
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. I'm Ashley Lawson, and I will be your general evaluator for today. Essentially, the purpose of the general evaluator is to evaluate everything that takes place throughout the meeting, even though today is a little unique and different. During this meeting, I will be taking notes on everything that happens and doesn't happen. I will evaluate each participant on the meeting program and look for good examples of preparation, organization, delivery, enthusiasm, observation, and performance of duties. And at the end of the meeting, I will be giving you guys my report. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, for the moment to explain my role, and back to you.
Thank you, Ashley. And now I just wanted to also point out our timer for today will be Sarisha. Can you tell us a little bit about your role, Sarisha?
Sure. Good morning. Greetings, Madam Toastmaster Margaret, fellow Toastmasters and guests. So my job today is to keep track of the time, and I will be using timing cards, green, yellow, and red. As a timer, I will time, I think we don't have an icebreaker today, I believe, so I'll time the table topics and speeches today, formal speeches. And if I don't think I have an evaluation today as well. So I'll alert each speaker with a yellow approaching the time, and the red is like, you're at the time. So I heard Margaret saying that, we'll be giving 2 minutes for the speech today. And for table topics, that would be a 1 minute. I will be raising the green card. 1 minute, 30 seconds, I'll be raising an yellow card, and 2 minutes, I'll raise the red card. What do you, Margaret? Thank you.
Thank you, Shirisha. Now, Erica, can you tell us a bit about your role as all counter?
Sure. I can't. Right. Okay. How we have lots of filler words. Is one for me. And paying attention to those here within the context of a meeting will help you slow down your speaking, pay attention to those words, so that you can work towards doing them less. Then you'll spend time in meetings counting all the ahs and ums from all your coworkers and leaders, and giggle to yourself sometimes. So at the end of the meeting, I'll give a report on how everybody did, and you'll all do fantastic because now I've warned you that I will be counting. All right, back to you, Ashley.
Thank you, Erica. And next we have our table topics master. Lori, can you just overview your role?
Sure. So I will also go over this before we do start table topics. So don't panic if you don't remember everything I say. But the goal of the table topic session is to help us improve our impromptu speaking skills and to give us the opportunity to formulate a structured answer to a question that we're given on the spot, or maybe a compliment we're given on the spot. So today I will ask a question, pause for a moment, and then I will pick somebody to answer it at random. The speaker will have 1 to 2 minutes to respond to that question. And to make this little fun, we'll also ask our participants to vote on the best table topic speech today. And I don't think we have any guests, but anybody on the call is welcome to join in. If you don't want to participate in table topics today, that's totally fine too. Just DM me on Zoom and I will make sure that I don't call on you. Thank you, and back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Lori. And today, Tanya will be our vote counter for table topics. Finally, I'll ask Tiffany will serve as our grammarian today. And Tiffany, could you introduce your role and the word of the day?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, as grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to the language usage they use. I'll take note of any improper language, as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or thoughts I hear. As grammarian, it's also my duty to introduce the word of the day. For today's meeting, the word is grateful, which means to be appreciative of benefits received. An example of using the word of the day is, as a product manager, I'm grateful to work in an interesting and challenging problem space, and for my teammates' various competencies and perspectives that they bring to the table. Each speaker is encouraged to use the word of the day. And at the end, I will give the grammarian's report when called upon during the meeting, and also report on the usage of today's word of the day. Thank you, and back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Tiffany. I'm excited to hear everyone incorporating the word grateful. It's very appropriate for today's meeting. Now, our club officers, Erica, Lori, Svetlana, Jen, and Rosie, and Amy will give some insight into their duties for the club and the benefits of taking on these club roles. Erica, will you please kick us off?
I would absolutely love to.
Sorry, Erika, how do I do the timer? I know you pin, right? So today, should I start sharing or how does it work? Or I just time myself? Okay.
Yeah, 2 minutes, right? I think is what we.
Yeah, so I can share my screen now with the card. Is it
You can use your background.
okay? Cool. Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you for timing. All right. I am so grateful to this club and every member that I've had the opportunity to meet and help find a pathway or just any interaction, any meeting with you guys. I am so grateful for. It's been such an honor to help to co-found this with Lori, to meet Lori. Lori's amazing. And my heart is so full it overfills on Sundays. So leadership with you guys, with Toastmasters, I just can't even start to express my gratitude for being able to be here and talk to you guys today. I will be stepping down from president's position this year. I've been in it for 2 years, and as a Toastmasters want people in and out, and it's great for the club, and I'm not going anywhere. And I look forward to the next person that transitions in and to see where the club goes next and what they do with it next. It's exciting for all of us that have been here for 2 years or a year to see how the tremendous growth. So some of the responsibilities for president that's really important are to set the tone for the club. What kind of club do you want to be in will attract what kind of people come to your club and form your club. So setting the tone, supporting leaders, which has been interesting because we are a brand new club. And there are clubs that have been around for a long time that are still learning, and we have learned so quickly. So kudos to all the leaders, kudos to all club members who have just like jumped in and been like, we don't know what we're doing, and figured it out together. So as a president, you support those around you, even though you might not know everything there is to know. None of us do, so no problem with that. The president presides over meetings. So, you've heard me talk at every meeting since we started. Club meetings and leadership meetings as well. At the beginning of every term, we set club goals. And as president, I help us kind of meet our earn club recognition with the district, because to be an active club, you reach certain goals and then you get certain awards, and your standing kind of within the district is determined upon that. As a president, I represent our club at the district and international levels at those meetings, deal with problems as they arise, which they rarely do, thanks to how wonderful everybody is, but that is the responsibility of the president. I also interface with Women in Products and help facilitate and have grown that program, and started off the mentoring program as well. Mentorship, I think, is really important. That's kind of like the big picture of presidents. Week to week is kind of variable, but planning the business portion of the meetings and our leadership meetings, seeing if the leaders need anything at all. We're here to support each other. And as president, you're really here to support your team. And just kind of keep an eye on the club as whole and make sure we're growing and getting where we need to be. Unique growing opportunities that I've had are, so we're still a brand new club, and it's been a challenge, and it's been an awesome challenge, even though it was kind of scary at the beginning, but that means many opportunities. So there are opportunities to kind of direct us and grow. But particularly, I really loved learning how to develop a vision. I haven't had an opportunity to do that and work outside of the club. So, working with the team to, form a vision with the team, learning how to motivate others and bring that vision to a reality. The other thing I've really enjoyed is everybody has a different unique style. Everybody is from has different background, has different managers, has grown up in different places. And coming for research, it's been really extremely valuable for me to learn from people that are in other industries and other areas and how they function as a team. So that has been really tremendously for me professionally and personally important. And here you can try out things that you cannot try out at work, and no one will fire you. People will give you feedback and be like, hey, that worked, or, maybe try something else. But gosh, that is so important, to have a safe place to really try things, try a different communication method, try or learn to have a leadership voice that you might not have somewhere else, and build that confidence and build that ability to take a compliment as well. And I have so many more things that I want to say to motivate people, but I am out of time, and I am going to let the next leader speak. So thank you so much for listening to me. I hope you know a little bit more about what the president does. And I am going to hand it back over to Marguerite. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. And I forgot to mention to the group, if you have any questions, please sort of note them down, and we'll have time for Q&A after all the officers speak. So you can sort of get, if you have any questions about those roles. But yeah, that was an amazing speech, Erica. It's always exciting to hear about how the club has grown. Next up, we have Lori Edwards, VP of Education, to talk about her role.
Thank you, Marguerite. And fellow Toastmasters, I also can't believe it's been 2 years. It's been a fun, wild ride ever since some Facebook post I made. So thank you all for joining me on this journey. I am currently the VPE, and I also will not be continuing in this role. This is a role that I've grown so much in, and I want somebody else to experience it, because it really has been impactful for me, not only as a leader and helping this club grow, but also at work. So what are some of the responsibilities that I have as VPE? One is I choose the meeting themes, but in reality, they're crowdsourced from all of you. So when you all pitch in, it makes this job a million times easier. And we're talking about topics that everybody wants to hear about. So I ultimately am the one that puts the themes on the little calendar that we got, but it's a team effort. This other thing I'm responsible for is also selecting meeting roles, which again are crowdsourced. So you all tell me what meeting roles you want, and I try to give you those meeting roles. Of course, that doesn't always work out. So the couple of times we have to fill in who does what, that's what I do. And then lastly, the main responsibility for this club, or for this role in the club, is really around getting club members to progress in their pathways. And again, compared to one of the other clubs I'm in, I'm blessed. We're all product managers. We're all here because we want to be and we want to progress. So it's really easy for me to be like, hey, you should do a speech, because most of you actually already sign up for your speech. And then if we have new members, like today we got some new members that joined, I kick them off with a welcome email and get them set up to give their icebreaker speech. So those are really the responsibilities for this role. What do I do on a weekly basis? As you've all seen, I send out an email once a week with the roles in it. I try to make sure the Toastmaster has what they need to be successful and get the club organized for the next meeting. And then I fill out the roles for the following meeting so you all can see it on Sundays. So it's really about maybe an hour or less a week. I have a lot of it templatized, so it's pretty easy. And then I see I'm at time, but I want to tell you a little bit about what I have learned as a leader. So this has given me fantastic experience as I've prepared to move into a management role, because as a manager, part of your responsibilities is to actually grow your team and their skill sets. So that is what this role does. So as you're interviewing for management roles, it's a really easy story to tell about how you do this every other Sunday and you help 30 women grow in their roles. That has been awesome to see. And as Erica mentioned, you talk in every meeting. So you also get to have that leadership voice and really start to gain that confidence about the role and what you're doing. So with that, I will give it back to the Toastmaster.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you for supporting all of our members as they onboard and as they work through pathways. Next up is Svetlana, our VP of Membership. Can you tell us about your position?
Absolutely. Thank you, Marguerite. And thank you, fellow Toastmasters. Before I tell you about my role, I just want to call out that for both Erica and Lori, like, it's incredible when you listen to somebody else talk about themselves, and especially when you've been a witness to what people have sort of actually done and what value they've added, how to see that they may not even realize what, like, everything that they have done, because all of us are in different level, like, presenting this with different levels of preparation. I would guess. Mine is definitely sort of ad hoc right now, but I just want to say that Erica, as president, has, besides everything she mentioned, has also taken incredible initiative, and I think anyone who steps into this role next will have really big shoes to fill, because one of the things is Toastmasters International has lots and lots of layers. It's a big onion and lots of opportunities. And part of that role is also sort of uncovering what those are and actually trying to sort of keep track of all of the goings on. And I think part of that learning that you do in that leadership role includes sort of following some of the developments and opportunities that Toastmasters offers. And you have to do that proactively. So both Erica and Lori have taken incredible initiative and proactive steps to get to bring opportunities to all of us, including with women in product. So kudos to both of you. Thank you so much. This club would not be half of what it is without you two. And I personally am very, very grateful to be in your presence and part of this experiment that we're running. So with that, I'll move quickly into VP membership. So in terms of the day-to-day, it's fairly straightforward. So we, again, are lucky enough that we have a very interesting and compelling product to sell with this club. And so for the most part, as VP of membership, you're not necessarily needing to go out and find people to join. You're just kind of responding to the demand that's already out there. So we get folks posting on our Facebook page. We get folks coming, just emailing us from the women in product community whenever they hear about us. So for the most part, it's just about hopefully whoever does this next will be even better than I am at sort of checking their inbox more often, at least once or twice a week, probably would be ideal if you can, and then just responding to folks who are writing in. So, and this can also be like fairly templatized, but it doesn't have to be. The other thing about all of these roles is that you make it your own and you make of it what you want to make of it. And so I try to be as welcoming and as responsive as I can be, but I can sometimes get delayed. But for the most part, basically you're letting people know when the meetings are, sharing information about meetings, and sharing information about how to become a member, and then processing those materials, which is all fairly straightforward. And I did also find, if I can take another 30 seconds, I did find a PowerPoint that was shared with us with the skills developed and like career assessment items that each of our roles has associated with it. And I'm just going to call out a few that you absolutely will develop as a VP of membership if you ever decide to take the role. And so a few of them will include personnel orientation and development, career planning, public relations, planning, again, which for project managers, obviously very, very key, and consulting, seminar development, networking. These are all things that you're going to get to do. And I've had the opportunity to build, to sort of extend our community even through the Women in Product event last year. And honestly, the possibilities are endless. And so just stick with us, get involved, and you won't regret it. So back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Svetlana. Thank you for handling all that intake and interest in our club. And I think, yeah, I think we're definitely okay if we go over time with these speeches. I know you guys have a lot to share about your officer role duties. Next up, we have Jennifer Ginsburg, our secretary.
Yep.
To tell us about your role.
Hey guys, so 2 years, I can't believe it. I actually have not been the secretary the entire time. I am the second secretary for this club, and I was trying to even think about how long have I been secretary? It might be a little over a year. I did want to let you guys know that I am thinking about stepping down. So if there are interested parties who want to be a secretary, I'm more than happy to support you in that. I obviously will help anyone who ends up deciding to run as well. The secretary role is very fulfilling and rewarding in its different ways. Like, honestly, I'm not as on the forefront as maybe like Svetlana has been, or Lori, or Erica as presidents in their roles. I find it to always be a little bit of an easier role in the sense that I'm kind of in the background, helping to hold things together, both based on meeting notes, creating agendas, things of that nature. As a secretary, my primary responsibility is just making sure that we take minutes, the agenda is set up for the club meeting. So I help the Toastmaster kind of, as soon as Lori creates those roles on Sunday night, I try and get the agenda together so then the Toastmaster has something to start from for the next club meeting. I also have a big responsibility in the sense of working with the leadership team to make sure that, hey, for all those initiatives that Erica or others leaders throughout the club have on their docket, hey, I'll look at the last meeting notes from our leadership meetings, and then I'll create the agenda for the next leadership meeting. And then I also just will publish out to folks to say, hey, is there anything additional that you guys have that we need to cover as a leadership team? The other main thing that I do often is it's a great way for folks in their professional careers, if you're learning how to navigate facilitating a meeting, in those leadership meetings, trying to make sure people are on point. We have a clear understanding of what our action items are for a leadership group and what are clear decisions. So it's a great opportunity to utilize and expand upon some of your project management skills in that way, and facilitation in a very safe space, right? I've been fortunate and very grateful to have led this club in my own capacity with such an awesome women as well. You guys make my job pretty easy. In terms of how much time do I spend, I probably spend about an hour every other week putting together the agendas, putting together the notes, and then there is a leadership meeting that we all attend, I think once a month. That's about an hour that I help facilitate and just document out what the notes are as well. The secretary role can really be anything you want it to be, right? You have an opportunity to also in your own way be a leader in connecting with other officers, and in particular connecting with, I'd say, the president primarily to help ensure that her vision is in her program, if you will, for the next year comes into fruition by driving some of the agenda, right? And following up with people or having people follow up in those executive leadership meetings. This year, one of the bigger things that's happening is we are moving to a club Google Drive, a club website. So I anticipate as we migrate from our existing Google Drive account to the new one, that there's an opportunity to organize things a little bit better than, when we started out, we just started out like, let's just get stuff out there. And so it was a little disorganized. We can make it a little more organized going forward now that we know a little bit more. And if anyone is planning on running for secretary, of course, I would be happy to help in making that structure. I'm already kind of working on it today. So that's it in a nutshell. The secretary is a rewarding and somewhat in the background kind of role, if you will. So reach out to me if you guys have questions, if you're interested. Oh, back to you, I guess, Marguerite.
Thank you, Jen. And yeah, thank you for keeping all of our officers organized and our agenda set up, because I definitely found it super helpful to have those going into the meeting. Next up, we have Rosie to talk about her role as treasurer.
Thank you, Marguerite. I loved hearing everyone describe their roles today and actually finding out a little bit more of what everyone does. Like Svetlana said, sometimes we operate in silos, and so it's nice to hear all of the little things that everyone does and how together we're bringing up this new club. Well, it's still new, I think, even though we've been around for 2 years, but I think it's still relatively new, which is good. It gives us a flexibility to kind of take it in whatever path we want to move forward with it. So for treasurer, as treasurer, you're in charge of overseeing our budget, managing our bank account, supporting the VP of membership, which is Svetlana currently. Whenever new members are onboarded, I ensure that we're processing them through the Toastmasters portal, that they get the email once that they're signed up, and they know how to manage, I guess, the portal. So my step is what triggers the rest of that, and then I essentially support Svetlana on that side. But I also ensure that people that are needing to renew their membership, so we do that twice a year during the spring and the fall. We renew our memberships, and I make sure that one, we're getting those in on time, and then two, that they're actually processed and submitted over to the Toastmasters website so that we can be in good standing. This role, I'm happy to continue with it, but also open to anyone that wants to take it on. It's a really great role in the sense of like supporting new members, but also being involved on the renewal side. It also has a lot of flexibility in being able to take it in whichever direction that you want. I think there's still a lot of room for growth and development on this role. The other thing is, one of the examples of where you could take it maybe is I started doing like some involvement of marketing and sales in this last renewal cycle and trying to pitch it as like March Madness. You can get creative and do whatever you want with it. Maybe try to get members to submit their renewals sooner than later, that sort of thing. So you're still open to it. And like something that I love about this is if maybe you're a product manager on like the sales side or the marketing side, you have the flexibility to test out different tactics here that you wouldn't necessarily have within the workspace. And if it fails, it fails. You could try again in 6 months and figure it out, revise it from there. So I like the flexibility that our roles have. I think that if you want to maybe try something like that, or whichever direction you want to take this treasurer role, it's open for you. And then in regards to kind of what I've learned as part of Toastmasters, I saw how much it boosted my confidence in speaking. I still do a lot of I still do a lot of these hand movements, but I was able to see last year when I was interviewing and going through that process how I was able to then take a little bit more on breaths. When I get excited, obviously like I ramble like I'm doing now, but still remembering to kind of like keep it cool. And so I saw how Toastmasters influenced my interviewing skills last year, and that helped me get a new job. The other thing recently that I discovered is I was curious how we meet up virtually, right? And we're not usually standing when we give our speeches. And so I was kind of nervous, like, how is this going to translate one day when I have to speak in front of a group? And recently I discovered that it did translate. I had to give a short speech in front of a large group, and I was more so nervous of the content and not so that I was going to speak in front of people. And so I saw that it's been helping. And so I encourage you all to, if you want to take Toastmasters a step further, to run for any of the roles that are open this year, which sounds like a lot. Yeah. Marguerite, I'll pass it back to you now.
Thank you, Rosie, for telling us more about your role as treasurer and yeah, using those growth tactics to get people to renew. Next, and lastly, we'll have Amy Kirkland, who will talk about her role as Sergeant at Arms.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Marguerite. As the Sergeant at Arms, my responsibility is starting and stopping the meeting, introducing the theme of the day, spotlighting speakers, and letting people into the meeting, as well as taking attendance. And then there's some, starting recording. So most of my role it has to do with the stuff happening during the club meeting. There's some prep that I do ahead of time to, prep for my opening. Sometimes I do it on the fly. Sometimes I don't. I think as I've gotten done it longer, I've gotten more practice, and I've been able to do it on the fly a little bit more. So it's a good opportunity for that, to sort of, I guess, get practice doing a similar thing, which gives you more practice kind of being able to do speaking on the fly. I also join early to make sure that I can let people in, and people can, welcome people and let people start to, make sure their audio and video are working and things like that. The role is definitely great for giving a speaking opportunity every meeting, and I've been really grateful for that. And so I guess, like I said, I do a little bit of preparation for my intro, and then also attend leadership meetings. And I think opportunities for growth is really there's opportunity for building your organization skills. There's a lot of there's managing like the spotlighting and stuff during the meeting can be a little bit challenging, but it's good practice, and it's good at being organized during the meeting, and kind of that on the fly, like sort of thing. So I feel like I'm saying lots of and ahs, so I'm glad someone's counting me today. And I've been really grateful for this role, and being able to have the opportunity and be a part of this club, just as everyone else has been saying. Everyone started with that, and I meant to. But anyway, I've really enjoyed being a part of the club and this role, and I am planning on not continuing in this role for right now, because I've got some other responsibilities right now that I need to do. So I'm still planning on coming to meetings, but I'm not planning on continuing in this role. So I guess that's everything I have to say. So I'll turn it back over to Marguerite.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you for, as Erica said in the chat, being a Zoom ninja like that. Doing the spotlighting and record is like really helpful for keeping folks engaged. I think it helps me for sure, and recording, because I definitely watch the recordings. And Amy will be our last officer to speak today. Our VP of Public Relations, Sarah Gunn, is on enjoying a well-deserved vacation, but I'm sure she'll be happy to speak about that in her role during our next meeting, or you can reach out to her if you have any questions about that role. All right, were there any questions for our officers today about their roles? If you have one, you can just come off mute. Yeah. And
I don't have any questions. I just wanted to give you guys a big round of applause. Thanks for keeping this rolling. We appreciate you.
Yeah, agreed.
Totally. It's not easy. Just doing a small thing like a timer itself is so hard, and I don't know how you guys took up such big roles. Thank you.
I think we got a couple of hands raised. Maybe Ashley, we'll start.
Sure, I will be happy to ask the first question here. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to explain your roles, what you do. I wouldn't say day in and day out. That thought kind of came across my mind, but your overall time frame of how you work and what you do within those roles, it's definitely helpful to hear that in terms of how you guys, to Tanya's point, support us and keep us moving collectively as a group. With that in mind, and any of you guys are more than welcome to answer this question, but what are your thoughts on a past president role?
I'm
Thoughts on
sorry,
it?
Ashley, what was your question again? I didn't quite get it. Like, what's your thoughts on?
What are your thoughts on a past president role? And I'm asking this question specifically, partly because I've been in other groups and clubs where they've had a past president to help guide pretty much the leadership aspect of the group, so that if questions come up, if people need additional support, not saying I'm like trying to let Erica go ever, but it's just giving some guidance and kind of being more of just a springboard or counselor.
Yes. So I can answer that real quick. I am assuming that role. So I shouldn't have said that like, I'm gone forever. I'm not gone forever. I'm going to assume the past president role and still be around for executive meetings and I'm on Slack 24/7. So I am available to everybody. That's a great question. That is a very great question.
I'll just
Thank
add
you.
on there, like, I know Erica is the past president, but I think anybody that takes over any of our roles, like, we're not going anywhere. If you have questions, we'll definitely help everyone get up to speed as you go. We can tell you things we've done or not done. So I think that leadership comes from any of us. And I know I'm speaking on behalf of the group, but I know I'll do it in the VPE role. I'm happy to help anybody come on board as they go.
For sure. And I would say, even folks who like past leadership people who have not stayed on to attend all the meetings and everything are still reachable and still very much a part of our group, and if you ever, whether it's for Toastmasters or anything else, like reach out to people, they're more than likely to respond and be there to support and guide. Oh, and the other thing I'll mention is besides our team of kind of people who have held certain roles to act as like a mentor, we also have other people from other Toastmasters clubs who sort of come on as resources for us. So just something to keep in mind.
Looks like we have another question from Saritha. Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong.
You pronounced it well. Okay. Thank you. My question is mostly in line with what Ashley asked, and I think you already, all of you kind of answered it. I was only wanting to know if the past, role members, if you're available for like a quick chat to understand any best practices, any lessons learned, do's and don'ts. Sometimes those valuable experiences would help run the club or going forward and, switching, aligning with the core values and all that properly. So I just wanted to see if you guys are available, and I think you answered the question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to go over our resources a little bit more, which is what I almost hijacked the meeting at the beginning of the meeting to go. Thank you, Svetlana, for starting that. So besides ourselves, we have a network. When we started the club, we had a network of mentors that still mentor us. So Rita Barber is excellent, has helped us, learn all kinds of things. And so the way the Toastmasters is organized is there's the club level, the area level, the division level, and the district level. And I finally remembered division. Yes. So there's a director at each of those levels. So the area director comes and she visits us quite frequently. She is always there for questions, and she leads a monthly meeting to touch base with all the clubs and keeps information coming in. So there's the area director, there's the division director who is always open to everybody. And the division district 101, the district has a great leadership team, very experienced, wants to help everybody. The district leads leadership trainings. There's 2 leadership training sessions a year that all of our leaders have always attended every single opportunity we have. There's leadership networking events once a month. And what's great for that is you get to meet other presidents, meet other VP of PR, ask them questions, see how they do it. How we do things is very different from how another club does. There's lots of opportunity to learn from them, bounce ideas, historical knowledge, all kinds of stuff. Lots of resources. You just networking and meeting people. Build connections for yourself personally, for the club, and creates opportunities. There's all kinds of ways to do that. I think those are all. There's lots of documentation online as well. Lots of support for their district. So thank you for bringing that up, Svetlana.
Sarita, did you have another question, or are you?
No, I wanted to just say thank you. Yeah, let me take this reaction off.
Thank you for the question. Any other questions from the group?
One question / thought, but probably more of a question, because I've been a little bit peripheral, haven't attended one of our meetings, but we usually do this kind of round robin about our roles in an open house type of meeting where we have lots of guests and lots of, or at least lots of our members. Today is a slightly thinner group. Curious if we should have another round of this, maybe condensed, when we have more members, or what do folks think?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
We're kind of, we only have one meeting in May. So
and
I
then
think
voting in June?
And voting in June.
Okay.
So I think maybe one thing we can do is offer like a networking session where we can come and just kind of talk a little bit more just informally. What do you guys think?
I think that would be great. And
Yeah,
we haven't done that in a long time.
We could also do opportunity for questions after the next meeting. That might be good because people will maybe already be there.
Yeah.
And then we can also direct people to the video for this meeting. So I think there's all those options would be good.
Forgot about the videos. Good point. Good point. Yeah, by the way, that's another resource, honestly, especially when we were starting our meetings, we didn't know, what all the roles look like, sound like. And so, but one way you can learn is watching other clubs or videos from previous meetings, how different people have done their part. And it's super, super helpful. We have a YouTube channel. We're famous, you guys.
Ashley, I see you raised your hand. Did you have one more question for us?
Yes, I do. I have one final question. Would or could anyone please explain kind of the I mean, you're giving us details about what you do in your roles, but the process of actually getting through submitting, like, I'm interested in a leadership role, I would like to apply. So what happens next?
You say, hey, Erica, I'm interested, and you're in.
I think Erica, in our in that June 5th meeting, when we do the voting, you'll do like a little spiel like we did today, right? Is that what we did last time? We've only done elections once.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
So
So
I think the way we did it last time, and I've been
go
thinking
ahead.
about how this kind of works, is, we'll open it up in that June 5th meeting, we'll open it up for like, hey, here, who is interested in running? We'll give that person, and it might be I'm going to prepare you guys, depending on how many folks are fixing to run for a particular position, it might go a little bit longer, but just be able to talk through like, hey, I'm interested in running. I'll just make it up Ashley Secretary because it's awesome. And just do a little spiel about who you are, why you're interested, and then we'll do a quick like kind of voting offline, and then we'll just vote, and then we'll just like have you roll right in, and we'll announce those new owners of the positions shortly thereafter. So because you don't have to submit your name prior to the meeting, right? You can actually submit your name during the meeting, right? So it is, we as a club decided we wanted to keep it pretty open, so to give people the opportunity, if they want to run, make it easy for them to run. Don't put a lot of barriers of like forms and things and blah 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 to be able to run. So we're just trying. My philosophy is try and make it easy on people. My only criteria is try and show up. I do recognize January 5th might be a little tough because it is right after Memorial Weekend. If you're taking a long holiday, then we may have to come up with a way to kind of submit something just maybe in writing or on your behalf, like a small video snippet or something like that. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to take it not seriously. You can run like that day, but letting us know in advance like really helps us build a leadership team, because we're looking to see who's interested, who's not interested, and filling all the roles. We don't want to wait till like the last day and have only half of the roles filled. Then it becomes like really difficult to kind of do stuff. So if you're interested, let me know and we talk about it. Talk with the other leader who's been in the role, find out as much information as you want. Let's go through the pros and cons together, and get on the list, because I will be sharing the list and who's running for what. Yeah, so that will, we don't want to pressure people into a role, and if we wait till the last minute, some people that would like to exit might stay out of guilt when they need to move away. And we don't want to have to do any of that, so let us know and we'll talk more about it. Yes, thank you, Lori. That's another thing I wanted to make sure that we talked about today is where you are on your product journey does not affect who you are as a leader, who you are as a person. So don't think that, oh, I have to be a senior product manager, I have to whatever. That is definitely not the case. I'm new to I've been a developer, a leader for a long time, but not like a product, and that didn't affect how things happened. I could still fulfill my role. These roles are meant, you're here in Toastmasters because you want to be a leader, because you are a leader and you need the space to get those skills. So Yeah, I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, the time is now. Now is the time. If you want to do it, if your heart says, I want to be a leader, don't wait until you think you're ready. You are ready like right now. You're ready right now to be like, okay, I want to learn something. I want to learn with other people. I want to have a great team, a great group of women surrounding me that I can learn from, that I can ask questions and learn with. So your level does not matter. So please don't let that imposter syndrome go somewhere else today.
All right. If there aren't any other questions, I'll give like 5 seconds. All right. No other questions for our officers. Thank you so much for telling us about your duties and what you've learned and gained from those experiences. It was awesome, and I learned a lot. Now I think we have time for a few table topics questions. Our table topics master will be Lori Edwards. She co-founded this club. She's currently serving as the VP of Education, as you just heard, while also, being a product leader in EdTech and a financial literacy expert. Please, Lori, please take the stage for table topics.
Thank you, Marguerite. So as I mentioned earlier in this section, it's in our impromptu speaking section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to state a question, call on somebody to respond, and then that person can respond they have 1 to 2 minutes to respond, and Sharisha is going to be keeping the time on that. And then at the end, we will vote on our table topics winner. So let's try to get some of these good questions in. Today's meeting theme is accepting compliments, or receiving compliments. So today's table topics are all about receiving compliments. Let me change my screen so I can see who to call on. All right, so the first question I have is, tell us about a time when a compliment you received surprised you or changed your perception about yourself. And for that one, I am going to call on, I have to find everyone. I am going to call on Sharitha.
Oh my, okay. Accepting compliments. So maybe let me start with saying, I think a lot of us find it uncomfortable in accepting compliments. And the immediate reaction is we kind of say something to justify about the compliment, or kind of say something that is either, like, let's say, for example, if somebody says, hey, you did a great job on the presentation or something like that, we kind of say, oh yeah, I worked so hard, or or maybe I ran into this trouble, instead of saying the first thing is thank you. First, we don't acknowledge. So I think it's important that we first train ourselves to acknowledge what they're saying, and if you really want to add more to it, you can go ahead and maybe say something more about it, or your experience, but it's not needed to justify. And regarding how it has impacted me in my life, when people gave me compliments, were more around me doing things, like I'm a detailed oriented person. So when people gave these compliments that I did a very good job in summarizing the information that I was presenting, I took that as a compliment, but I started to justify. And I kind of realized, you know what, maybe I may be detail oriented in my thinking, but when I express, I'm probably paraphrasing, and I'm concise. And that's my goal, to be concise and be cryptic and to the point. So again, this is my first day, and that's all I had. I know it's a yellow timer. I don't know what that means. So I'm just going to stop at that.
Excellent job. That was perfect.
Thank you.
All right, so for my next question, I have, what pro tips would you give somebody who has difficulty accepting compliments? And for that, I'm going to call on Tiffany.
Thank you, Lori. That's a very grateful for that question because I'm definitely also one of those people who are not great at accepting compliments. So what advice would I give myself? I think the first thing is to acknowledge that we're all only human. We're all, trying our best on this earth in this life. And we all have our unique strengths and weaknesses. And something that I've recently learned with myself in leading this new product management team that's been formed in my organization is that you and your team go so much farther when you're really thinking about everyone's unique strengths and really giving everyone on the team that space and opportunity and time to really lean in on those strengths, because there's only so much work, time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears you can put into trying to overcome certain weaknesses or opportunities for growth until you start to feel frustrated with yourself. You start to question yourself. The imposter syndrome just leaks into your mind, and suddenly it's the only thing you can think about. And over time, you lose that perspective about what makes you uniquely you. So I would personally start there, and probably second most important tip is learning to practice empathy with yourself first, because the ultimate person that you need to gain acceptance from is ironically yourself. And once you practice that compassion, that love for yourself, then only can you really start to appreciate everyone around you. Thank you for that question, Lori.
Wonderful answer, Tiffany. Thank you very much for that. So our next question, I think, is probably a situation that you all have experienced. I know I've experienced it a lot. So this one might be a little tricky, but I feel like we can get a good answer from it. So the question is, someone who's previously broken your trust gives you a compliment, but you can't tell if they actually mean it or they're being malicious. How would you respond to that compliment, and how would you approach the situation? And for that one, I'm going to call on Svetlana.
Interesting question, Lori. I'd love to hear an example of what you're thinking in terms of how a compliment could sound malicious, but maybe you mean that it's a backhanded compliment, right? And I would take it back to what someone just was talking about, which is, and this is much easier said than accomplished, and this is why we're all here and talking about this topic, but at the beginning and end of the day, right, we are on the path to learning that the only person that needs to accept us or to, that we need to satisfy is ourselves, right? And so to the extent that it's possible over time, because I don't think this can happen overnight, but to the extent that it's possible, I consider myself on the path to kind of separating how I think about myself from how other people may or may not think about me. I think it's also important to remember, which we, I think, frequently forget, that we're not in other people's minds. So, and we don't belong there. And so it doesn't really matter, right? I think at the end of the day, especially in a professional setting, if someone says a compliment to you, then your only duty is to say thank you and move on. And I don't think that there's much else that's worth doing there. And honestly, if you do walk away with the feeling that maybe this is backhanded, then unfortunately, that's probably a sign to either, I mean, again, it depends on what the situation is, but either you sort of spend less time focusing on that individual, or more time focusing on next steps.
Great answer, Svetlana.
Yeah.
Marguerite, am I at time?
I think we can do one more.
All right, so I got one more in here for us. So this question is, what compliments do you like receiving and which could you do without? And for that, I'm going to call on Githika. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you got that right. That's Kitika. Thanks for the question. I, like similar to all of you, have a really hard time taking compliments. So let me just think about the compliments that I've gotten so far. So sometimes when I get compliments like you came across as like really confident, or we really appreciate that insight. I like compliments like that, because usually I think I'm super underconfident and really beat up myself for like not doing better in situations. So I like really compliments like that when someone thinks that I'm insightful or have was confident. I also get a lot of attention and compliments for being too nice or too good. And I really don't like those compliments, because I feel like I'm getting too much attention for being myself, and sometimes feel like other people would think that I'm pretentious, because they specifically have to point out that I'm like too sweet or too good, which for me is like normal behavior for me, and that sometimes prevents me from not going the extra mile for being scared of getting compliments, even though I want to. So yeah, that's me. Thank you.
Fantastic answer. And I think with that, we can conclude, and I'll throw it back over to Marguerite.
Thank you, Lori, and thank you to all of our tabletop speakers sharing your stories, and give yourself a pat on the back for thinking on your feet. That is always so tough. And next we'll move into the evaluation section of the meeting. Ashley Lawson is serving as our general evaluator today. Ashley works with cross-functional teams at Keller Williams to identify and implement product features and enhancements that enable real estate agents to improve their day-to-day business practices. And she's also learning to code. Ashley, can you take the floor?
Yes, I certainly can, Madam Toastmaster. Thank you. Hello again, everyone. As your general evaluator at this particular portion of our meeting, I'm going to be calling a few folks up just to give us a report on how we did in terms of overall speaking, and also our counter. I don't want to hear that number, but I'm sure I'm going to improve after this meeting. And then we'll also hear from me. I'll go ahead and wrap us up here for our meeting today. But to kick us off, I would love for Tiffany to come up and give us our grammarian report on how we did for today.
Thank you, Ashley. First of all, I'm super grateful for all of the leadership for speaking. Learned so much more about what everyone does, either at the forefront or behind the scenes. So thank you for sharing your duties, what your day-to-day looks like, how you've grown as an individual from pursuing your leadership role. So thank you so much. A common theme that came up that I really wanted to spotlight was many reoccurrences of mentioning, making the role your own, find your own leadership voice. And that's something that really resonated with me personally, because in this journey of being PM #1 at a startup that's never had product management before, is all about like finding my own voice and like paving this path while I'm also walking down the path. So this like fun dichotomy, sometimes very challenging, was a great reminder. So thank you so much for like all the reminders of that. Now, going down the line, Erica, you used today's word of the day, grateful, twice. A couple of phrases that really jumped out at me when you spoke was, number one, my heart overfills on Sunday. That just painted beautiful imagery in my mind about, you know, waking up feeling like your cup is being filled on Sunday. So thank you for such beautiful language. Also, I think as product managers, we're the ones responsible for maintaining that big picture and supporting our teams or our leadership teams in Toastmasters case, and being that champion and evangelist for our product. So thank you so much. Lori, I really loved your use of the word crowdsource, because I think from my personal experience so far, a lot of people think us product managers are the ones coming up with all the ideas, but in reality, we're getting feedback from anyone and everyone, customers, other teams within the company, even sometimes just like social media, what's going on in the industry. So thank you so much for reminding us that inspiration can come from a ton of different places. Svetlana, you used grateful once, and I really loved how you opened your speech with being witness to other people's accomplishments and value they've added. I found that's such a great reminder that we have blind spots ourselves, and being able to acknowledge and accept people's compliments when we're being hard on ourselves. We are recognizing the unique strengths that we do bring to the table. So that's an excellent reminder for all of us. Like, compliments are coming from somewhere, and we just might not see them ourselves. So thank you for that. Jen, you used grateful once. Really liked your dichotomy between not being at the forefront and being more in the background. As our secretary, from personal experience, I've always felt that, especially as someone who self-identifies as being very introverted, I've always felt like, you know, I'm paying attention to everything. I might not speak up all the time, but when I do speak up, it tends to be because I feel very strongly about what's being discussed. So for any other fellow introverts in this club, like, even though you might not feel like, you know, you're the loudest person in the room, that's okay too. Like, sometimes it pays dividends to be quiet, but have that powerful voice when you do speak up. So thank you for that. Rosie, I really liked your use of how you mentioned being our VP membership boosted your confidence, and also just being a member of Toastmasters helped you to keep your cool. Found that as product managers, that's super important. Being able to find your own self-confidence in the ideas you pitch, the vision, and the bigger context that you're sharing with teams and leadership are super crucial skills. And obviously, things inevitably come up. There's no plan is solid. So learning how to keep your cool in emergency situations is a super crucial skill. And Saritha, I've really liked your reiteration of how uncomfortable it is for us, especially as women, the way we've been socialized and such. When we do hear compliments, our first inclination is to sort of almost justify ourselves and why we're receiving the compliment that we're hearing. So thank you for reminding us of that. And Gathika, I just wanted to let you know, like, I've also received the supposed compliment of being too nice. Still honestly learning how to like cope with that. Like, what is being too nice? Does that mean I have to be less nice? So if you want to chat offline about that, love to get your thoughts. And thank you so much, everyone. I'm so grateful for all the insights that we've shared with each other on this very important topic.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tiffany, for the grammarian report. I appreciate that. And I do want to remind you guys, if you haven't voted already for responses during table topics, please do, and send those private message over to Tanya, please, for your vote. And without further ado, my favorite part of the meeting is hearing how many times I've said ahs and ums. Please don't count those. Erica, can you please come up and give us the report?
Thank you, Ashley. You'll be happy to hear that I've been so engaged with conversations that we've been having that I don't have big numbers because today was just too fun. Lori had a few ums and a so. Marguerite had some ums and ahs. Svetlana, some ums and ahs as well. Jennifer, if you had any, I missed them, so 0. Rosie had an yeah, you even had a like in there as well. Amy had some ums. Tiffany, some there was a and an a few ums. Saritha and Gathika, I didn't pick up any of yours if you had any, so that is my report, and back to you.
Thank you, Erica, for the counter reports. I would like to bring up one more person here before I give my overall general evaluation of our meeting for today. And I hope she's still here. Sharisha, maybe
I'm
you're
still
on a different
here.
screen for me. Perfect. Would you mind giving us our timer report, please?
Yeah, I just realized I'm very quiet today. As a timer, I think you don't get to talk much, but I'm really grateful for this role today. Coming to those speeches, I didn't want to time actually, because I wanted to hear them say more about the role. So although I started timing for 2 minutes, I kind of, after some time, I've just, timed for four plus. So I'm not going to give the numbers on it. But when it comes to table topics, Sarita was under 2 minutes. She finished her speech at 1 minute 50 seconds. Tiffany at 2 minutes, almost 5 seconds. Svetlana, little over 2 minutes 10 seconds. Geetika was under 2 minutes, which is 1 minute 28 seconds. Again, thank you for this role as a timer. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarisha, for the timer report. I greatly appreciate that. Last but not least, I'm going to go ahead and bring it home for us today in terms of how we did overall. We did start a little bit past time, but that's okay. We actually took a different approach to our agenda today, which was very helpful and insightful, getting to learn from our leadership, what they do, how they help keep us afloat, and also push us forward in terms of pushing ourselves and challenging ourselves here within the Women in Product Toastmasters Club. What I would like to see in terms of improvement, partly speaking for myself here, but also for everyone here as well, taking a little bit of extra time to go back over your functionary role for the meeting and making sure that you feel comfortable and that you know what you're going to be discussing to the group at that expected time within the meeting agenda. I also want to give Lori a shout out for the table topics and having us go back and really think about how we accept and take compliments and having a little bit of critical thinking there too. And also everyone who responded, you did a beautiful job answering those questions as well. Other than that, I feel like we did a great job with the meeting, and I also want to encourage anyone, when you do have a Q&A session out in this meeting, outside of this meeting, please feel free and feel comfortable to raise your hand and ask those questions. I find that if I'm usually thinking of that question, someone else also is too, and they might be a little nervous and asking that question. So whenever you have an opportunity to get your question out there, go ahead and pose it. Somebody else might be thinking the same thing. And with that, Madam Toastmaster, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Ashley. It's a great evaluation, and to everyone else on your team. And next we'll have Tanya, if you could come up and tell us who got the most votes for table topics.
Of course. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I would like to award today's Toastmasters Table Topics Master Award to also the best grammarian report I've ever heard, to Tiffany. Good, nice job, Tiffany.
Thank you so much, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Tanya, and yeah, and to everyone. This wraps up I'm wrapping up my role as Toastmaster of the day. Thank you to everyone who took on a role in this meeting, and especially to Lori for taking on table topics at short notice. That was a great session, and I really enjoyed hearing all the passion all the officers had about your roles. That was really fun, and it was a fun, engaging Q&A, and a really interesting topics session, because I think it's a topic that we were all accepting compliments. Everyone was sort of very vulnerable in those table topic speeches, so I enjoyed that. So thank you, everyone, and over to our president, Erica.
Thank you, Marguerite. What a fun meeting today. It was great having the discussions. I want to quickly, before I pass it over to Lori to talk about our upcoming meetings, say hi to Lulu and Geeta, who have joined us as guests. I encourage you to stay after the meeting, say hello, and we can meet. I'm going to hand it over to Lori so that we end on time today. Lori.
Thank you, Erica. So first off, congratulations to Ashley. She completed her level 2 with this last speech she gave. So big round of applause. It's great to see more members make progress on your pathways. Also, in light of crowdsourcing, as Tiffany called out, I just posted the form for you all to sign up for your next meeting roles. I do want to let everyone know that next meeting, so May 8th, we will not be having a meeting because it is Mother's Day. So everyone gets the weekend off, go enjoy time with your families, all the things, and we'll be back on May 22nd. So with that being said, I also won't send out an email until the Friday before that meeting, whatever day that is, like, I don't know, 18th. I should have looked at the calendar. But it'll be a couple weeks till you get a meeting or an invite from me and the meeting roles for the next meeting. So if you can't attend anything, feel free to throw it in that form as well. And that helps me not assign you a role if you can't join us. And that's all I got. So Amy, I'm going to send it over to you so we can get out of here on time.
Thanks, Lori, and thanks everyone for a great meeting today. And I will stop.